Welcome to Crushgasm, the podcast dedicated to the highs and lows of crushes from their first to their worst. We're going to cover them all with a cascade of characters, including our guest today, someone who doesn't mind a little singing in the rain, Jon Reilly, a knitting craftivist, a movie-loving podcaster, and an elder millennial like myself, who is here to talk not only about his show, Life's But a Song, but also his crush on a Tony-nominated Broadway star, and that is Raúl Esparza. Jon, how are you?
I am doing well, Kendra. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I don't know the world of Broadway, so this is all new to me.
Oh, so Raúl Esparza, first and foremost, I think I fell in love with him while listening. I've never seen him live, let me put it that way. But I fell in love with him listening to the Broadway cast recordings of the shows he's been in. And his voice is something.
It's next level.
It's next level.
I was going to ask, did you grow up like a theater kid? We all know what they are. We all have seen teen movies. We know what the theater kids are. They're very serious about the school productions. Was that you?
Yeah. Well, I was a theater / music kid. I did band primarily. And then once I hit high school, I started a little bit in middle school, to dabble in theater. But once I was in high school, I was head over heels into that theater program there. So I did I did 3 years with the theater program, and then I went to college for costume design. So
well, I will say you are a theater kid through and through then.
Yes.
I was forced to be in it my freshman year. They just threw me in it, and I'm a total introvert nerd. I'd rather be in yearbook or something like that. And so, yeah, I did it for 2 years, but I was the background, I did sound and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was more on stage in high school, and then once I went to college, I was definitely let's not do that anymore. But I still kind of want to, but not really, And then now that I'm out of college and working, it's okay, backstage is probably where I live more, where I'm more happy now.
So you were a theater kid, but what got you involved in it? Was there a specific play, production that you saw, or maybe you heard, you were listening to a lot of records that you thought, okay, this is what I got to do?
Well, so I grew up on Long Island, which is not that far away from Manhattan. So I would go see shows a lot with my parents and my grandmother. And actually, I think it was, I like to credit my grandma more because she was very into theater and very into the arts. She taught almost every not myself, but my older cousins and my sister. She taught them piano. She was very encouraging towards me because I used to go to a camp for the arts when I was a teenager. And so she would always encourage that, and she'd always come see my shows and everything. So I'd like to say that my grandmother opened the door to theater for me, and then I just walked right through it.
You burst through that door.
I burst through that door, and then I found glitter and sequins, and I was happy.
So back to this crush. You said it started, you heard Raul, you heard him on the company cast album for Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is I think a gateway for a lot of people to get into theater. But you were already in there. You're already deep into theater by that time. So what about this record? What about his voice? You were and he was playing Riff Raff, by the way, which is I thought, okay, maybe he was playing the Frankenfurter, or that hot guy that comes in with Susan Sarandon.
Whatever. Oh, Brad.
Yeah, but no, he was playing Riff Raff. So what about this character, this part that was popping for you?
So I actually, after I wrote out your little questionnaire, I realized though I've listened to him earlier than Rocky Horror. He was in the off-Broadway show called Tick, Tick, Boom. If that sounds familiar, it's because a movie version of it is now out on Netflix. But he played the character John, which is based off of Jonathan Larson, who wrote a little show called Rent, which everyone's heard. You probably even heard of it, even though you're not a theater person. But I realized the other day while I was listening to it, I was like, oh my God, I forgot that I used to listen to this album in high school. And that's more when I first like heard his voice. And then when I heard the Rocky Horror Show cast album. Say it right, John. Otherwise you lose your theater credit. He has this like very textured voice, if you will, where that's the best way I can describe it. Have you heard him sing over at the Frankenstein place? Or did you listen to any of the Rocky Horror Show recordings?
No.
So
researching him and didn't think to listen. Should have done that.
Well, okay, so he made the role his own because so you were talking about the movie version of it with Susan Sarandon and Tim Curry and all that, where Richard O'Brien, the person who like wrote the show, stars as Riff Raff. So he had his own interpretation of the character. But then when Raúl Esparza did it on Broadway, like in 2000, I want to say that show happened, he made it his own and like made it a little more rock and roll in a way. And then I saw the video of the Company that he did. So Company is the name of a show where it's a Stephen Sondheim musical about a single man on his 35th birthday surrounded by his friends who are all married. And they're kind of urging him to get in a relationship. And so what he does in that show like moves me to tears all the time that I listen to it and watch it. His voice is just so beautiful in that. And then I have to retract a statement I said earlier. I did see him live, actually, in the show Leap of Faith, which if you haven't heard of it, that's fine. No one has. But he played the lead role in that. And again, just like mouth-watering over his voice. I mean, he's also pretty to look at. I'm not going to lie to you.
So this attraction, it's not just the voice, because I can see that, because, sometimes it is about the voice. Like, I love Rob Thomas's voice. I love Garth Brooks' voice, but they don't do it for me. But this one, you're like, he's also fine.
He's also fine. I mean,
very 90s.
So I know we're only talking. I know I only mentioned Raúl Esparza, but while listening to the Tick Tick Boom soundtrack, his co-star in that, Amy Spanger, is another one that I would say I have she's my female crush, if you will. You got to listen to this. I mean, I know you're not really a theater person, but you got to listen to this album. Like, their voices are beautiful on it, and so is Jerry Dixon. Just to give a shout out to him. But Amy Spanger, she was in the musical movie version of Reefer Madness, and I've seen that movie conservatively 7,000 times. And in it, she plays. There's no better way to describe her, but she plays the slut. Like, that's her whole character, is that she sleeps with everyone. So she's so funny and amazing, and she too has a fantastic voice. So if you wanted like a little heteronormative in your episode, there it is.
What I find so interesting, it's like Broadway is such a world to me that I don't know, but it seems the same as any other fandom. You like what you like and you go deep into it. Just like I've talked to people into anime and they can go on and on about the different variations of them and the voice actors and everything. So I was going to say, like, when you discovered Raul and you're like, this might be my man, did you like go down a rabbit hole of like, I must listen to every single thing he's ever done and been a part of?
Accidentally, I did that. I mean, I didn't put in all the effort, but like, I think it was more so a level above that, where it was like, I love this show, so now I have to dig deep into this show. And then it just so happens to star Raúl Esparza. Like, when I saw his, like, the Company, that's when I fell in love with the show as well. And like, I'm still digging in that one. Like, I'm still going, finding new stuff out left every day about it. and like the history of the show, but like no, I haven't like stalked him via iTunes or YouTube or anything like that.
You haven't gone down the obsessive like fangirl like teeny bopper 1999 like I must know everything about them.
No, I haven't. Should I? Are you telling me that I'm bad at this? Should I go down a rabbit hole?
You're more mature with your crush than maybe I would have been. I'm always like, well, when's their birthday? What's their sign? Where'd they grow up? What's their blood type?
Yeah, I don't need to know the blood. Well, I should know the blood type just in case. But
like you're like watching him on stage, he gets a cut. You're like, I can give him my blood. Like only if you knew it though.
Just open up a vein and be like, take it.
So what would you say so far? You know, you haven't gone too far down the rabbit hole, but what has been like the pivotal role on Broadway for him, for you that just moves you? Is it Company? Is it Riff Raff?
It's Bobby and Company, for sure. Like, it's to the point where that's the... So the show was a little depressing, I'm not going to lie to you. If you don't know Stephen Sondheim, he wrote Into the Woods, Sweeney Todd. He's a little darker when it comes to his music and tastes like that. But, and with Company, I listen to that on my birthday every year. Yeah, it's a little bad.
I think that's totally normal. Everyone has to have like a birthday tradition.
Yeah, but like if
it's a little sad, but you know,
it's a little sad. Yeah. It's very sad, but yeah, it would be Bobby and Company because watching the video of what he did is just beautiful, and I could like that movie. I think I could watch over and over again and not get bored of it.
And you said you have gotten to see him live once, right?
Once, yeah, in a very bad show, but he did great.
Now, I was going to say, how does he compare live to like a recording on a CD, 8-track, whatever you fancy?
8-track record, yeah. The gramophone.
Yeah.
So I think it's it's more his voice. His voice never changes. Like over the last 20-something years of his career, it doesn't sound like his singing voice has changed drastically. I mean, I know as one gets older, if they're a singer, certain notes are a little harder to sing. But I mean, I feel like he found the fountain of youth and his voice hasn't aged.
I mean, I just saw Alanis Morissette on the Jagged Little Pill tour that I waited forever for because of COVID. Thanks, America. And I go to a lot of concerts and I have never heard someone sound that perfect live. And like she held the microphone at her waist and you could like, that's how good her pipes were. I was
like, oh my God.
Like, I was like, even if you don't like Alanis Morissette, go see this woman live. It is insane.
I love her. I mean, she started as an actress too. You know that, right?
Yeah, you can't do that on television.
The Nickelodeon show from way back in the day.
From Canada?
From Canada, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I don't know with Raul, what he must do some great vocal training, because like keeping that up is a lot, especially if you're doing like 8 performances a week for however long the show runs. Like that gets a lot.
I was gonna ask, is it more on the normal side in Broadway for them to be able to keep their voices like so pristine because they are doing all these performances, sometimes like 2 a day? Not
really. I mean, like once you become, well, no, I think everyone on Broadway has great vocal training. Well, the singers, I should say, the ones that are in the musicals, they pay for training of sorts, like classes, like taking classes and everything. So they all know techniques, though it might be like a little different from person to person.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back to Leap of Faith because it is based on a movie by the same name that stars one of my crushes, and that is Steve Martin. And of course, Steve Martin, I fell in love with him when I was like 8 years old and he was in Father of the Bride. It was definitely May December Romance. And it got me thinking, Raul is quite an older fellow compared to you. Have you always gone for the older types?
No. Crap. No. I mean, okay, so I'm at a weird age where I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'm not an old crone yet. So I think these days I I have like a range of like 25 to older. I don't want to say a number, but I think when I was younger and I first got into him, yeah, I mean, I think I went for more older people. What, be it like a year to not to more than a year older.
Just not, I think everyone has at least one older person in their life. They're like, And plus, this guy, he doesn't look like, it's not like, like Gandalf or something where he looks like.
Yeah, we're saying he's older than me. He's probably what, like 20 years older than me, maybe. If like maybe a little more, but he doesn't look it.
No, he looks fantastic.
Right? Is he now your crush?
Maybe.
One of your crushes?
Maybe. I do love learning, and I do kind of fall in love with each new crush that comes through because I get to learn about him.
Yes. Oh wait, let me see. Yeah, he's not even double my age. He's less. He's like I'm gonna say 27 years older than me, maybe, or 17 years older than me, I should say. Yeah, 17, 18 years older than me. Yeah, so not that bad.
I mean, a whole child could have went to school and graduated in that time, but yeah, it's not too bad.
in the terms of saying he's older, like he could be way older, and it'll be a little like, John, what are you doing?
Yeah, we haven't had any of those kind of crushes come through yet. No one's chosen May December.
I mean, Steve Martin is a pretty older gentleman, but like,
I mean, I loved him at 8, so
I could see it though. You know what I mean? Like you're not wrong.
I mean, in Father the Bride, especially Father the Bride 2, when he has like that, midlife crisis and he gets the Corvette, I was like, yes, did something for me. I don't know what. Daddy issues? Who knows?
Oh no, down a rabbit hole we go.
Like Alice in Wonderland. You're also a pretty huge movie fan, and I know Raul has done a handful of films, but he's also pretty well versed in freaking TV. He was on the show of all shows that will never go away, Law and Order SVU. Did you start watching that because you're like, he's in this, now I'm into this?
No. I'm totally honest. I don't actually think I've ever seen an episode of his on there. I did the whole Law and Order SVU phase because it was on syndication on whatever channel, USA, TBS, one of those. But I'm pretty sure I've never seen. Yeah, I'm looking at his stuff right now. He's definitely been on after my little binge fest of it.
I feel like Law and Order, any of those shows like NCIS, all of those, it's kind of it's when I'm home and I'm visiting my mom and she's watching them, and if I'm there longer than a day, I get sucked into it, and then I can leave, go away. It's kind of like an older folks soap operas, if you will. I can get into it and out of it, but the story really never changes. That's how.
Yeah.
It's always good. It's always entertaining.
Eventually they're gonna get the guy, whether he's shot or, put into jail. They're gonna they have to win because they're the heroes.
I have to ask, since Raul has done TV, you haven't watched it, but a lot of Broadway stars do go into TV and movie. Do you like when they do that, or do you I want them to stay on the stage?
Well, so that's also the premise of Law and Order, is that they hire the Broadway folk. They do, because even Jerry Orbach, who was in the original Law and Order, was a Broadway person. Mm-hmm. Famously, he's known for originating a role in the show The Fantastics. I can't remember what he played, but that was and that's a musical, so he's a musical person. But no, I mean, money's money. If you can work anywhere, do it. I feel though the reverse is what I don't like, when movie stars come on Broadway, because they're so used to takes and breaks in between scenes. Like doing a 2-hour long show for 8 nights a week or 8 times a week is a lot for them.
I was gonna ask for the flip side, what do you think when Harry Potter was like, I'm gonna go be naked with a horse or whatever that play was?
Well, so there are a few that can hold their own. Harry Potter definitely can. He too was in a musical, lest we forget. But I'm sorry to be like Mr. Broadway now on your podcast.
That's totally fine. You're the expert here.
But like there's a few of them that you're just like, why did you have to? You could have stayed in Hollywood, or not to say that, because Hollywood doesn't really exist anymore like it used to.
Yeah, is there any that went from like movies and TV to Broadway where you were like, no? Like, which one comes to mind where like, no? You
want me to name names?
Just maybe like the top one that comes to mind.
Bruce Willis.
Okay. Drag her.
He was in the play version of what's that? The movie that Kathy Bates was in. The Stephen King movie that Kathy Bates was in. Misery.
Yeah, it's like Deliverance. That is not
No, he was in the stage version of Misery, and the stories I heard from that, it's like, come on, Bruce Willis, like.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Smith seems to get along with any human being, and the fact that he like hated Bruce Willis is really telling when they work together.
No.
Yeah, I've seen Kevin Smith like moderate panels and stuff, and he's so good at it. So I'm like, if this guy can't like you, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
All right. So is there any recent Broadway show that you think Raul should be in that's going on right now?
Oh no, there's so many.
All of them.
I mean, it might be fun and interesting to see him play the Phantom on Phantom of the Opera. It would be very different because that is a little more of an operatic music, and Raúl Esparza is a little more rock and roll. But I think it would bring spice to the show for sure. I don't think there's really a show for him right now.
Now, what would you have done if he appeared in the movie version of Cats?
I would love it even more than I currently do.
Really?
Oh God, that movie is so awful. I love every second of it.
I could not get past maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, Kendra.
All I know of Cats is what the incredible Kimmy Schmidt told me about Cats.
which is not wrong, maybe entirely.
Which I love their version of like, you just become part of the cast just by walking up. But yeah, so I watched it, and like they were saying jellicle so much, and me and my husband had taken an edible, and we were like,
okay.
Ow.
Oh, great you mentioned that, because that's how you're supposed to love it. Okay, so I really don't like to talk about this, but I've seen that movie stoned so many times. That's how I only watch it. I think, so on my podcast, Life's But a Song, I did an episode talking about it on purpose because a friend of mine just so happened to be in the tour of the show. And I was like, we have to talk about Cats. And he went, yes. So for my show, when I watch things, I like to watch them sober, just because, I don't want to be swayed one way or another or find something funny when really I'm laughing at nothing. So I watched it sober, and it's still a wild ride. Cats.
It happened. It was a movie that happened.
There's a video floating on YouTube, an interview of I forget who it was, but in it he says that he was questioning Andrew Lloyd Webber about what is the deeper meaning of Cats? Is it this? Is it that? And Andrew Lloyd Webber just turned to him and went, "It's about cats. That's all it's about." With that in mind, you're like, yes, this is a beautiful movie. But I would, I also, in that movie, I also have a little crush on the actor who plays Monkish Strap, if I'm not gonna lie. So if Raúl Esparza were to play Monkish Strap, I think I would have lost my shit.
He would have been your Jellicle crush.
My
whatever
Jellicle
Jellicle
crush.
is. Jellicle.
It's a type of cat.
It seemed like it was how Smurfs used the word Smurf. They were just saying it to say it. It was like Jellicle cats and Jellicle hats and Jellicle this and that. I was like, oh no, okay. Maybe I'll dive.
See what I did there? I didn't use the real lyrics, so you don't have to pay royalties for that.
Thank God. I was gonna say, were you ever an American Idol fan?
No, but like I don't really like those type of shows.
I mean, it was only good up until a certain point, so that's fine.
So, like, if I were to pick one to watch, I think I would watch The Voice more because the judges on there are, the coaches, I guess you would technically call them, are nicer to the contestants, in my opinion.
I was just say they had in season 7, which is the ultimate season for me. I couldn't even watch after because I love 7 so much. They did Andrew Lloyd Webber nights, and he was like the guest, and he like was really creepy.
That's amazing.
He's like, pretend you are the girl, pretend you are the cat, and it was just like, what? And I was like, oh, okay. And my favorite did Memory from Cats.
Oh no.
He always chose, because I was really excited for them to do Mariah Carey night, and he chose like the worst Mariah Carey song, and he never did good ones. But he didn't win. So, Jon, it's casting call time, and you and Raul are playing our leads. All right, so it's time to cast yourselves in this answer to this question. So if you and Raul could spend your lives together, what do you think it would be like?
Oh my God. Well, so I would always go see his shows first and foremost, because we're both still working, but we're not working together. Because you want to separate relationship versus work. Mm-hmm. So he can complain to me about his dresser. I can complain to him about my actors. We'll all know, everyone, it's gonna be fine. And right now I'm sounding like a Jewish mother, and I'm not upset about that. So we're working, we're busy, but like, we take time for ourselves, especially after surviving the pandemic. Like, we learned that time apart is more important than time together, because like, you want to yearn for the person in a way. So that's what we're doing. We're working.
We are paying those bills,
we are paying those bills
in New York.
Oh, I wouldn't say a penthouse, but like a very nice apartment.
Would you want like a brownstone, the classic?
Yes, I would.
No, I've only got to go to New York a couple times, but I'm still like taken aback by those brownstones.
They are beautiful, to say the least. I mean, it's the closest thing to a house in the city. You know what I mean?
And the Stoops, I think it's Hey Arnold being obsessed with Stoop Kid. It's just like, there is an energy in that city that I love it so much.
Well, you'll just have to come here more, and we can hang out.
I know. I'm going to be on the East Coast soon.
And I'll introduce you to Raul, who I'm currently living with.
Okay. In your brownstone.
In my brownstone apartment.
What a life. What a life.
Right?
Will you like eventually work together though? Down the road?
I honestly cannot answer that because I don't know.
Yeah, I have to talk to Raul.
I'll have to talk to Raul. Yes.
All right.
Oh, wait. Are we talking about if we're in real life or if we're dating in a fantasy dating world?
In your imaginary world.
Oh, so I may do if he's doing a concert, I would probably dress him in that, but not a show, a Broadway show. No.
All right. Well, I like this life, and now it is time to talk more about Life's But a Song.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, so I actually have 2 podcasts.
What's the other?
The other one I co-host with my friend Shady. It's called Movie Deja Vu. where we compare similar or what we think are similar movies by creating a verbal Venn diagram. Sometimes we have guests on that. We've done episodes comparing Battle Royale versus The Hunger Games. Sometimes we do things called sequel remakes, where it's like Mary Poppins versus Mary Poppins Returns, and we'll talk about it because it's the same goddamn movie. But then, we'll have a discussion at the end where we ask the question, like, are they the same? And then after talking about it for like an hour, we're finally like, yes, no, maybe, who knows? But then on my other podcast, it's my solo adventure. It's called Life's But a Song. Kendra, you were on it, just on it. We kind of planned this. Who knows?
Or it's Disney magic.
It's Disney magic. But that one, I have a new guest on every episode, and we talk about either musical movies or musical TV show. I'm talking like, Cats. I talked about that, and there's a lot of Riverdale on there.
Wait, did both of these? Because a lot of podcasts sprang up from just pure boredom over the pandemic and wanting to connect to people. Was that the idea behind these two? You were like sitting around quarantine. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about these musical movies, and I'm gonna get a co-host for another one.
So the movie Deja Vu actually happened first. That one I had the idea for back in 2019, where I pitched it to my now co-host, where I was like, we talk about movies in real life. Let's do it for a podcast. And then because of shutdown, we actually had the time to actually sit down and start recording. So yes. And then the Life's But a Song happened after that, where before I was employed, when I was still unemployed, I was still just like, I have a lot of time to fill. So let's create my own podcast where I'm the one-man show. And I'm still doing it now that I'm back to work and everything.
Well, that's great. You didn't give it up. A lot of people, podcasting, it does take a lot of your time. And I noticed I'll be like, oh, this person seems interesting as a guest. And then they only have like 2 episodes. Right.
So Life's But a Song is a bi-weekly one. So it's a lot of work to edit 2 episodes a week. But Movie Deja Vu started as a weekly, but now we're every other week, which is great because I can have panic attacks about one of my podcasts every day, not both of them. But Shady and I definitely, we figured out like who would be in charge of what, and done a lot of that. She was so sweet. Well, it was a day where I was very stressed out, and she's like, "Do you want me to edit your Life's But a Song episode?" And I was like, "No, but thank you." She's great. I love her.
I was gonna say, you kicked off your podcast with 2 episodes about a show that is really sometimes controversial. It's either people loved it or they were like, that's questionable. And that was Smash. I remember when it came out and people just like hating on this show. So what made you want to start there?
So I was hate watching it while in quarantine. And I was like, I want to start another podcast talking about this show, but not every episode. Maybe we'll do like a season, and then it just built up from, let's talk about musicals and musical movies and television, and we'll have a new guest every week, and we'll bring Shady on every like 5th episode or something because she's a great co-host and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Smash was very inspirational.
Smash was very inspirational. But I didn't hate on it too much, or the stuff that I hated, like I just universally hated. So my co-host, my guest host for that one, who loved the show, was still just like, yeah, the kid is a little shit, or yeah, this is not how it works in the real world, where like you start off Broadway one day and like 2 weeks later you're on Broadway. That's not real.
It is in the world of Smash.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
Like you said, you do musical movies, you do musical TV shows like Smash, but I also like that you do those singular episodes. Like you do a lot of the Riverdale musical episodes. So I want to know, have you ever gotten to discover any new shows just like focusing on the musical episodes?
Like TV shows you want to talk about, or do you want to also talk about movies? Because like there's some movies that I discovered. I was like, where has this been in my whole life?
Sure,
and then there's
TV shows, movies, like
so like Pirates of Penzance. That movie I loved, and I didn't know I loved. Like I haven't seen it before. Our episode had me have a reappreciation for a Goofy movie.
Yay.
Because that music slaps so hard. And TV shows, I got like introduced to The Flash, which was new for me. I don't think I may watch that show to understand a little bit more, but like I'm pretty good watching just the musical episode.
I did not know Flash had a musical episode.
It did. So it starred Darren Criss, who was also on Glee, and it brought together like Supergirl and other things. It was okay. Oh, the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode laughed my ass up. I'm definitely at one point I'm gonna watch that show.
It's so good. Fun fact: they did a live concert tour with that. And I won. I got to be in it. I got to play the old lady. Yeah, I have the script signed by the whole cast. So it was I think Playboy did the contest. So I entered I didn't have like 17 or so emails, and I entered every day. I probably like 10 times for each email. I ended up winning tickets to the show, and then they brought the 4 winners on stage and pulled names out of a hat, and I got to be on it in the show.
That's amazing. We did talk about that, and we were both, I think we were in college at the time. When was the concert again?
I was a senior. I know it was like after my senior year of college. So like 2009, I want to say.
Yeah, we were both like, we were just in college and figuring stuff out, and we're on the East Coast, obviously. So she was very upset because she's a big fan of the show. My guest was, and she was like, why did nobody tell me about this?
So I was going to ask you, what do you think makes like the perfect musical episode of TV? And why is Riverdale the best at it?
So funny you say that. Recently, the last episode of Riverdale, I came out on my podcast, and it was Next to Normal. And I had a wild theory that the writer of that episode is secretly a fan of my podcast, because she answered she met all of our demands that we wanted, which was like more Lily Reinhart singing, less Archie singing.
Oh yeah, I mean that's always
more. Make it a Lily heavy episode. We have a gold statue built of Lily Reinhart for her. Not really. That's a joke. That's a really bad one. But it's that Next to Normal episode was very well done because they used the lyrics right as opposed to other episodes that they've done. And it when the music helps propel the story forward, that's what a musical technically is. Like, if you look up the definition of Broadway musical, that's what that means. So the Next to Normal episode definitely was top notch. But also the Buffy episode, the Once More with Feeling, that one I have such a strong emotional attachment to, though. So you can fight me on it, but you will lose.
Oh, coming out swinging for Buffy. Can you tell the people where they can find you online?
Life's But a Song. You can find us on Instagram at But a Song Pod. And for Movie Deja Vu, my other podcast that I have, you can find us on Instagram at Movie Deja Vu Pod. Both of them you can listen to anywhere you listen to podcasts. Rate us, subscribe, spread the word, everything.
All right. Now, Jon.
Do you need me to spell that?
No, because...
No, okay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about your Broadway crush. And everyone, you can find all of Jon's information below, including the spelling. And until next time, keep crushing it.